All right, we are discussing documentation with comments today. So, comments are used in programming to document how the code around them is meant to be working. They're useful because they let us leave notes in proper actual English rather than in code for anyone who is reading our programs, so that they can get a better idea of what's happening in our programs. And they can even be useful to us when we stop looking at some code for a while and then come back to it. We might not remember everything that we were thinking about while we were working. So leaving comments can help us to decipher what it is that we were working on, or we can potentially lay out some structure. Comments are a very useful thing in our programs. So there are three different types of comments in Java. There are single line comments, there are multi-line comments, and there are a special thing called Javadocs comments. We're going to dive into what each of these entails right now. So single line comments allow us to very quickly add notes to our programs. If you have a particularly complex line, you might add a single line comment about that line. They're just for little notes throughout the program. You can place single line comments before the code that they're commenting on. You can place them on the same line as the code that they're commenting on, or after the code that they're commenting on. They can go absolutely wherever. But keep in mind, anything after that double slash will not be read by the compiler. The whole idea of comments is that the compiler that reads our code and makes it runnable doesn't read comments, just ignores them. So anything after the double slash is not included as runnable code. So that double slash is how we start a single line comment, and it's what is telling that compiler anything after this symbol on this line, just ignore it. It does not count as code. You're not going to run this. It's just there as a message for someone who's reading this. My personal recommendation on single line comments is that you place them before the line that you have that you want to explain, because most people are going to read code from top to bottom. That's just the default reading order. Other people like to put it on the same line as the code that you're explaining. If you have a particularly long line of code, this is a bit cumbersome because you have the code and then also the comment, which can also take up a lot of space. So I personally like having it come before, but that's just my personal preference. You're free to put comments wherever you like. Multi-line comments, because they can cover multiple lines, allow us to be a little bit more descriptive than we can be with only a single line comment. We can start multi-line comments with a / and then an asterisk, and then we write whatever text we want to be inside, and then we close with a matching asterisk and a star, asterisk and a /. So we open /*, close */. So we can have more text on those lines. In my example here, I just have my open and close on the line by themselves. You're totally allowed to have more characters than those on those lines, but for this example, I don't. So as an example of a multi-line comment, I'm describing what this for loop is designed to do. We're going to iterate over a given string, and we're going to find all instances of the character A. So I don't have any implementation in this loop, but you can see I'm describing what that loop is intended to do. And since this is covering multiple lines, I'm using a multi-line comment. Now, anything that you could use a multi-line comment for, you could also do with multiple single-line comments if you so choose. So multi-line comments are also useful for commenting large sections of things. Comments are very useful for debugging, for figuring out where an error might be occurring in our program and trying to solve it. So if there's a particular part of our program that we don't want to be running, but we don't want to delete, because maybe we spent some time working on it and we don't want to delete it yet, we can use comments to stop the compiler from reading it. This is called commenting out code, or commenting it out so that it is not going to be run. The easiest way to do this is to just put the double slash, the single line comment at the beginning of any line or lines that you want to comment out. You could also put all of it within a multi-line comment, but most places where you're going to be writing code, most development environments have a very handy shortcut where you can select all of the lines that you want to comment out. And then if you're on Windows, you can press Control and /. If you're on Mac, you can press Command and /. And that will automatically comment out every single line that you have selected all at once. Or if they're already all commented out, it'll comment them back in. So you can toggle commentedness on a whole bunch of lines all at once. So if you have an entire method that you want to comment out temporarily, this is a great way to do that.
Wait, Mr. Mac.
Yes.
So you click the Control plus and then the /.
So it's you only have to press two keys. You need to press Control and /.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, Control.
Sorry, I got confused.
The plus is just there as like a modifier, I guess. I don't know. So Control and /. So you don't actually need to press the plus key. Thank you for that clarification. All right. So the third type of comment is Javadocs Documentation commenting. Javadoc or Javadocs, I'm not really sure what the proper name is, if it has an S or not, but it's a program that's going to generate API documentation for a class using the comments within that class. And Javadocs comments follow a very specific format, which allows them to be read and converted into actual documentation. When we've looked through documentation earlier in this class, we've gone and looked at the string class or a variety of other classes. You can see the documentation, the official documentation. The Javadocs is what is going to create that documentation. We can show that we're starting a Javadocs comment by using, it's very similar to a multi-line comment. We're going to use a /*, but we're going to use a second asterisk there. So /** is going to start a Javadocs comment, and the end is going to look identical to multi-line comment, just */. So here's an example of a Javadocs comment and what the output looks like. So in this example, we have the Boolean method equals. We're getting an object called an object. We can see that signature is right here. We've got our name of our method is equals. Our description compares the string to the specified object, et cetera, that's all right here. That's this whole section. And then we have these tags, which are going to open up these other little sections. Now, API, so API is an application programming interface. So if we remember back to last semester, so we're documenting the API. So we're providing documentation so that other people can see how to interact with the class we're creating. Does that make sense? I realized that wording was a bit unclear. I can't see anyone right now because I have to close things to the recording. So cool, thank you, sorry. Thank you for the question. So documentation, this is how we create it. Now, documentation is a tedious process. No, not many people enjoy creating documentation. However, it is incredibly, incredibly useful. So while it's not the most fun thing to do, it is vital. Because as you move into the actual programming world, as you work with teams, you're going to have to work with other people, read their code, and if their code isn't documented, it's going to be much more difficult to work with. And if your code isn't commented, your code is going to be much more difficult for them to work with. So we want to make sure that our code is as easy to interface with as possible. so that everyone we're working with can get all the work that they need to get done. So if we want to add a Javadocs comment to our own programs, there is a specific format that we're going to want to follow, and it looks like this. We've got our open and close. First thing we need is a description of what the code is going to be doing. Second, we're going to define any preconditions. Third, any postconditions. And fourth are any block tags. 1 second, I need to send someone a message. All right. So let's make an example of a Javadocs comment for, let's say, the getName method within our Power class. So we've got our public string getName, and we're returning name. It's a very simple method, but even the most simple methods we need to have documentation for. So first, we're going to have a one-sentence description of the code's function. We are returning the string name from a Power object, and we're specifying that it's a Power object because there could be a getName in, we actually have a getName in the superhero class as well. So we need to specify for the Power object we're getting its name. Next, we're going to look at preconditions. And preconditions are going to describe the state that the program must be in prior to the execution of the code you're describing. So it's what things your code needs in order to work as expected. So this is often going to describe any parameters that you need to successfully input or the state that your code needs to be in before this code can run. So for us to call getName, we don't need any parameters here, because we're just retrieving a name, but we can't get a name from an object that isn't initialized. So our precondition here is that a Power object must be initialized. We have to have an actual Power object in order to be able to make it work. So there's our preconditions. Our postconditions are going to describe the state that our program will be left in after our code has been executed. So we have pre and post, before and after. So this is going to usually describe what the outcome of our execution of our code was. So what happens as a result. So what value we're returning or what might be changed within the state of the object after the code has run. So in this program, our post condition is we are going to be returning the string accessed from our Power object and return that name variable, that name value, to whoever called this getName method. All right, so those are our first three things: our description, preconditions, and postconditions. And our last little section is any block tags. We saw a little bit of that in our example. Block tags are going to follow the format at and then some tag. And then they're going to provide additional information about what the code segment needs to run. So two very common block tags are at param and at return, which are going to indicate what parameters and return values are necessary within this code segment that is being described. So the format for this, we've got our at and then the tag, so at param or at return. We've got the variable name, if it's a parameter or if we're returning a variable, and then a description of what is going to be going on with that parameter or return value, what it is meant to represent. So in this example, we don't have any parameters, so we don't need an at param tag, but we do need an at return tag because we're returning something. So we can return name, that's the name of the variable we're returning, and that's the name of the Power object. And we're specifying, once again, this is the Power object because we could be getting the name of a different type of object if this was in a different class. So the way this would look if we actually include it in our code, we've got that huge block of comment above our method getName. And when we are writing classes, we're going to want to create something like this for every single method that we write, so that we can create documentation that makes our code easier to read. It makes it easier to understand what all of these things are meant to do. And I acknowledge this is a tedious process. It's not fun, but like I said, as we move into the real world of programming, documentation is incredibly vital for everything to run smoothly. So if we run the Javadocs program on that comment, we're going to get something that looks like this. It's the getName method. We've got our signature. We've got our little blurb that returns the string name of a given power object. The preconditions and postconditions are really there for any programmer who's reading this. We don't really need, or those aren't going to get included in our output here. But our @return name, we're going to see returns name, the name of the power object. We're including all of that detail in our documentation here. All right, does that all make sense? Any questions on how we do this documentation, why we do this documentation? That all clear? Cool. All right.